have now entered the cosmic radio receptors of KCIW 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon.
Woohoo.
Thank you for tuning into this week's fabulous program once again. I'm Dr. Gigi, and my co-host is, as always, Jacques Kepner. How are you?
I am doing fine. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Doc and Jacques Radio Variety Show. I want to mention that you are hearing this live show on KCIW, as aforementioned, in Brookings, Oregon. That said, this same show will be rebroadcast in exactly 1 week from now, each and every Wednesday, on KZZH 96.7 FM in Eureka, Humboldt. That's one of our sister community radio stations, and it comes on at 8 a.m. that next Wednesday. And then it comes on a few hours later at 1 p.m. on my old alma mater, KFUG 101.1 FM in Crescent City, California. So now you know, Dr. Gigi and I have got your coasts covered.
Covered, all right. Yeah, so we will today continue our unique new feature of the Doc and Jacques radio show, which is called
Chatting Chairs. Chatting Chairs.
This is a time when Jackie and I will probe into interesting health topics or other topics that are interesting. And all they have to do is relate to us humans and or the world we inhabit. So, as Jackie would say, grab a pencil.
And paper.
In case you want to write something down from the chatting chairs.
Okay, and we got Veronica in the studio. So if you want to chime in on any of the stuff, you're welcome to.
Please do.
Because we have got a lot to do. That's right, Doctor. Last week was our original chatting chair.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about sleep.
Yes.
Ray Simon wasn't here. He slept through it. But hey, finally I hit a good one. Our sound engineers, by the way, are Tom Bozak and Ray Simon. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here always, as always. And we talked about sleep, which was cool and was fun. And so I said, what? I said, we got to have, we got to have something opposite of sleep, and that's what?
Consciousness. Yeah,
Little
you go.
did I know.
It's the hardest subject that he could have chosen, but he was not swayed, was he?
But we think we all know it. We do. We think, we know it. So let's talk about what consciousness is. And mind you, they're all theories. We know more about outer space than we do about our minds, our brains,
Although theories
the ego,
might be
the id, the superconscious. Okay, you start. Well, I'll start off, okay? Everyone knows what it's like to be aware and to think and to perceive the world around us. Yet when we ask ourselves, what is this consciousness all about or why it exists, we quickly run into one of the strangest mysteries in the known universe. What makes consciousness so impenetrable is that while it is something that all of us 8 billion humans on Earth experience every second of our lives, it defies simple explanations.
Right. Maybe it defies simple explanations, but let's give you a definition. There's the definition.
Yeah, I like definitions.
So let me read it.
Okay.
The definition of consciousness is the state of being aware of oneself and one's surroundings. It encompasses a range of experiences, including subjective awareness of thoughts, feelings, sensations, and the external world, all of which is facilitated by our brain.
In other words, conscious individuals have a sense of themselves.
Yep.
I am, so therefore I think, so therefore I am, including a sense of continuity over time and a perspective on their own experiences. So we know we think we know, that there are 3 different levels of consciousness. So get into that.
Well, we know there are some. So there is the normal state of being awake.
What is what?
Which is also called being awake.
Okay.
We're awake and aware. And then there's the state of sleep. That's called the sleep.
That's what we studied last week. That was fun.
Where we have a reduced consciousness with altered brain activity and reduced awareness.
Then we cannot forget about altered states of consciousness, such as when you're dreaming or when you're under hypnosis, or we're altered by drugs or wine or Heineken or even meditation.
Right.
Yep.
Very cool. Yeah, there's a lot of research out there to give us some answers to solve this so-called hard problem.
It is.
It's the hard problem of consciousness. Why? So the question is, why and how do we have these subjective consciousness feelings? On the other hand, get this, the so-called easy problem deals with questions like, how does the brain process information? How gets different sensory input integrated into the brain somewhere? How do memories get formed?
Yeah.
And how we can selectively focus our attention. These are so-called easy relative to the hard problems because we can actually measure certain things. We can map the brain with those
Easy
questions.
peasy. I still don't quite understand what we're talking about here, but let's talk a little bit about the theories about this hard problem, as it is called by someone. Can you give us a couple of these examples, Doc?
Sure, yeah, let's do it. The first group of these theories are called higher order theories. Or
Okay.
thought.
Oh, I got the hots for you.
Yeah.
HOT, higher order of
Theories.
thoughts. Oh, theories. Okay.
Suggest that thoughts become conscious when basic perceptions become re-represented on a so-called higher level. An example would be the following. You see a red apple. Then you realize, hey, I'm looking at a red apple. So I'm aware of being aware.
Yeah, well, we all know that expression, to picture something in your mind's eye. That's an idiom, right? What the heck does that mean? Most of us do it every time we read a book, think about the past, or listen to a friend tell a story. Most likely, we take it for granted, but research suggests that not everyone is gifted with the power of internal sight. As many as 1 in 50 of us humans find it impossible to visualize any images at all. None.
Wow, yeah. So it is very interesting, right? And it kind of speaks against that HOTS theory
The
group,
higher
right?
order. Right.
Higher order
I see it.
theories.
I see it more like this way. You think and gather thoughts every moment with, I love this part, your toolbox. Your toolbox of senses. What you're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling sinks down into your subconscious mind, way down there, where it is all assimilated, and stored, like the raw data that it is.
Yeah, well, I think you hit the nail right on the head because you just
My
described
good boy.
the global workspace theories.
Oh, GWT?
According to those theories, perceptions, thoughts, emotions, etc., become conscious when they make it to a workspace, or you kind of call it a toolbox or something,
Toolbox. Yeah, I like my toolbox.
and can get picked up by any other perception sense or whatever. So, for example, the red apple that I noticed yesterday comes back today in my memory when someone talks about a green apple they ate. And since my red apple is still on in the virtual workspace, I can call it up and combine it with some other senses like
Oh, man.
speaking and explaining a scenario where I had a red apple and it was yummy or
Okay,
something.
this is all going over my head. The subconscious mind, let's get back down to the easy stuff. The subconscious mind is a storehouse of data, the memories and experiences of every moment of your life, my life, even your life, Veronica, are stored in that subconscious mind. This subconscious mind, it never, sleeps? Never. It never rests. It's always on the job. It controls the circulation of your blood, regulates your digestion, and is the so-called autonomic system, right?
Autonomic nervous system.
My heart's beating naturally. My fingernails are growing.
Yeah, not really nervous, but yeah, it does happen. Now, you're kind of leaning toward the next in our last
hope this
little
one's easy.
theory. It's called integrated information theory. And to tell you the truth, all these little things, I don't know why they have to have different theories. Can't they just combine it and all kind of put it out in a wash? But anyway, the integrated information theory says that the consciousness is related to how much information is integrated amongst the different parts of the brain. How many parts of the brain talk to each other and recall the information. So the more information that is connected and integrated, the more conscious the system is thought to be.
Okay, everybody is getting this. Raise your hand.
This is a mathematical approach, right? The more the more integrations, the better. The more lights, the thingy up on the screen, the more conscious,
you and your
right?
mathematical mind. I got my degree in English. I did quite well, too. Got C's. In college, I was an average student. I think this is when the subconscious mind comes in then, Doc.
Yeah,
It is
put it
said
in.
that your subconscious mind is a million times more powerful than the conscious mind, the brain, right? It's so much more powerful. The subconscious mind is more powerful than you can even imagine. The conscious mind, people say, is like the land on Earth. It's all the Earth, right? It's all
Right.
the surface. But the subconscious mind is like the Earth's what's underneath the surface, all the way down to
Yards.
core. Huge
Yeah.
area, huge,
Yep.
represented deeper, less acceptable aspects
Accessible. Yeah.
of psyche.
Yeah.
What
Well,
about you got? I think you have one more. Yeah, let's do it. We got plenty of time. We are. Where are we? At 4? Okay. You don't want to? That's
well,
fine.
you told me not to do it.
I wasn't
so,
going to, but then that's okay. All right, let's just do this.
Okay, I'm going to give it in a nutshell.
Okay, do
It is called the reentry and predictive processing theories. So it's always a bunch. They're just combined to these 4 groups. So there are several. And the core claim of the reentry theory and the predictive processing is that the conscious mental states are associated with top-down signaling. So that's why you didn't want me to do it, because now I have to explain what top-down signaling is.
Yeah, I like
Top-down signaling refers to the process by which higher level brain regions, like where we make decisions and where we actually know what a red apple is type thing, send information, expectation, or context to lower level brains, as in, oh, I'm hurting, I'm hungry type
Right.
thing, the more instinctively ones. So the more this happens, the more top down and up and left and right we have, the more conscious we are, which is really similar to our the integrated information, where they say who has more integrative
Cool.
processes. This one just says the more top down, and we can make predictions. We're learning, right? The consciousness learning as a little toddler. We don't know what happens if I'm running behind a car, because I can't run behind a car yet, right? So I have to learn first to run, and then I have to run behind the car, and then hopefully we don't get run over, because then the learning experience is over. But so we're learning by doing things and getting corrected. We're getting more and more conscious.
Wow. Well, let's admit it. Consciousness is weird.
Yeah, weird.
Okay.
Yeah. Next time it will be something
Yeah.
not so.
Okay. Hey, our guest that fell asleep over there.
It's hard to cover the
Oh my God.
consciousness in 7 minutes or whatever.
We all
Right.
think we know it.
It's hard.
Oh, I know what consciousness, and I know it. I studied the ego, the id, the superconscious, but no. But if you really think about it, you can't really define it. I mean, some real smart people can, Tom Bozak and things like that, I'm sure can do it. But in reality, most of us just don't really know what it is or how it works, and many of us not working without ever realizing how powerful our subconscious mind is.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So although we may think we know our minds, this show has just transformed you that science has proven time and time again that the greatest unexplored region of this universe is inside of our own heads. Wow. That is pretty.
That was well.
I think it was
summarized.
Rene Descartes that said, "I drink, therefore I am." Was that? Did I get that wrong? Did I get that?
Drink,
Maybe that was Monty
therefore-
Python. Sorry.
Wow.
Might have been Monty
I mean,
Python.
I sort of get it. When we learn to drive a car, we're totally conscious doing it. The first 3 times you're aware of everything, but then it's just the subconscious takes over. Driving is a good example. All right, well, we have a special guest, a return guest today, and Veronica. Now you pronounced your last name once, and last time, and I will get it right.
Schlesener.
Schlesener. There it is.
Schlesener.
Schlesener. Okay, Schlesener. Veronica Schlesener is in the studio today, and she is an officiant.
Yes.
Officiant, and she is a reverend, and she has performed hundreds of weddings for people. She has been talking to us from time to time, always interested in what she says about the wedding process, about getting married process, no matter if you're a first-time, a newbie, or a 10-time road warrior like
I appreciate the optimism. If this is your 10 time, I appreciate the optimism.
I've
Good on you.
met a guy once that had 4 wives, and he complained it was all their fault.
Well, that's why he's had 4 wives.
Right.
Hopefully they weren't concurrent. Hopefully it was one after the other. It was consecutive and not concurrent.
So Veronica is back, and I want to say that
Our third segment.
Yeah, our third segment. We may
All
have
right.
another one, but here's the call out, everybody. As some of you might have seen on my Instagram and Facebook, we want to perform a live in-house wedding here at the KCIW studios. With you'll be treated to everything, including the officiant, the Reverend. She will marry you.
Yep.
We will supply the flowers, or we'll get them from maybe Abigail's or some of the other. We will get a cake. We will get. I'll line up a cruise out on the ocean, and to show, let's say, out to the St. George Reef Lighthouse with tide winds.
Or you can have them go across to Misty Mountain, tell their friends to come to Misty Mountain, and
That'll
they
be
can
right
go
after.
there and have
That
a
would
big
be
party.
after,
Yeah. So
Shout out to Matt and Liz.
There we
Dog
go.
Park Mondays just played last Friday. So.
right on.
Hey, y'all.
How was it? It was nice, right? It's a
It was
small venue.
awesome. It was awesome. We had dancers in that space.
Whoa,
We
how
had people
cool.
dancing.
Cool.
Right.
Well, okay, you've got. You have been here. We are
Yes.
kind of pulling it all together because we want to do this wedding later this summer. So, with that being said, Veronica, you want to take the thing. Gigi's got some questions for you.
Beautiful.
And we will start. And what are we basically covering today?
Well, last time, as you'll recall, we talked about the most important vendor of all, which is the officiant. That's right. I'm not biased at all.
Yeah,
and then
well,
we also
we
talked,
agree.
right? And then we also talked about venues for the ceremony. So if you missed any of it, make sure you go back to the archives, check it out. Today, when we talk about venue, when we say venue, we're going to mostly be talking about the location for the reception more so than for the ceremony, because we already talked about the location for the ceremony.
small reception could be at Misty Mountain. Big one could be at Checo Brewery, right? The two.
Absolutely. You know, the thing is, the most important thing, which we talked about the first time, was your RSVP list. You need to know how many people you're going to have, because if you have 150 people and the spot only holds 50, that's not going to work. And vice versa. If you've only got 50 and it's this big place, it's going to look
Right.
like a party nobody wanted to come to.
Yeah, and empty.
And you don't want that.
And
So
we got a good hint last time, the time before, of if somebody doesn't respond to the RSVP, right?
correct. You guys, if you didn't listen to it, go back and listen to segment 1, which was all about RSVP hack to make sure that you get that number
Yeah.
right. So you always want to ask for a plan B for a venue if it's outdoors. I got married. The first time I got married, it was in July. It was on the Central Coast. They hadn't had rain in months. They didn't have rain later, but it rained that day. And the place that we had reserved could maybe fit 10, 20 people indoors, and the other 50, 60 people were going to be outdoors. And I was like, what? It's not going to rain. It's not going to rain. It's July. It's not going to rain. And thank God, because it rained that whole day. We would have had nowhere to seat people. It would have been horrible. So always, always, always make sure there's a plan B. There's somewhere we can go inside, or I can get a tent, or we can rent a tent from you, or whatever. But you should always have plan B.
All right, so venue. What are we
Yes.
talking about the venue?
For the reception, because we already talked about the venue for the, so wherever you're going to have the reception.
By the way, you could go to KCIW archives and
Mm-hmm.
look up past shows, and then click down on Doc and Jacques and just scroll down all of our 75 or so shows, and you will find Veronica in here on multiple times. All right, so venues. What are we got?
No, venues we just talked about.
Yes.
Oh,
So
I knew
let's
that.
go to catering.
Yes, there we go. So a lot of times the catering is included with the venue. It's usually included, but if not, then ask for recommendations, because, you know, instead of starting from scratch, who are the vendors you've worked with, the caterers that you've worked with that you trust. But you can also go to your favorite restaurant, see if they'll cater. Oftentimes they will, and do a little taste test.
I've heard that, like cakes, they get a little piece.
Doing the cakes. You know, food trucks are a
Yeah.
great idea, especially if it's a favorite food truck.
Yeah.
That's a great way, because you don't have to worry about any of it. They're going to pull up. They're going to have the food ready for you. They're going to serve it. You don't have to worry about dishes. You don't have to worry about cleaning anything up. So food trucks are another way to go as well.
I'm on Dairy Queen. Just kidding. Have you
me
ever
tell-
been? Have you ever been to a Dairy Queen?
Can I just tell you right now that the Dairy Queen ice cream cakes
Yeah.
are the best.
Are they really?
They are the best. Yeah, you just roll up there, grab one, and go. They're the best.
Few calories.
But with the catering company, what I really want to make sure that you have communicated what they're responsible for, what you're responsible for. I did a wedding recently where it wasn't communicated that they were going to drop off the food at 1, and the wedding didn't start till like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So they weren't going to put sternos under any of those for 5 hours.
Right.
And it wasn't communicated, so there was cold mac and cheese.
Oh,
cold,
no.
You know what I mean? So it's those little things
Yeah,
that you need to, hey, if you guys need to deliver this later because we don't think people are going to be eating it or whatever, you need to communicate very clearly. And that goes really, honestly, that goes for all the vendors. Communication is key.
Yeah. So can you communicate? Do you need a planner to even do all that? Or
So here's the great thing.
Yeah.
A planner typically is the one who's helping you arrange for all these people and get all the, your vendors in place, gives you recommendations for all of those. You don't have to get a planner, but it is definitely one of the services that I offer is as your coordinator.
Right.
So the day of, you tell me who the caterer is, and now I'm going to go and make sure that we've got this, and this is here, and this is supposed to be here, and that's supposed to be, and that's not supposed to come till whenever. I'm so glad you brought this up because can I just vent for a moment?
Please vent.
What? She's getting really sentimental.
I just need to take a moment to remind folks that your mom is not working at your wedding, or your dad, or your aunt, or your uncle, or Mima, or Papa. I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many times I do these weddings and the sentence goes, well, my mom's going, no, your mom's not. No, she's not. The only thing your mom's going to do at this wedding is bask
Yeah.
in glory.
It should be, right?
That's it.
Should be.
Dad too. That's it. Basking. That's the only thing. In fact, she should have like a little title that says, "I'm basking right now." Right. So
like that.
please, this is what your so siblings don't count if they're in the party and they're the wedding party. But this is what your wedding party is for: is to
Right, to help
do those
you,
kinds of
right?
things and to help you. They are there to help you, not just wear expensive clothing.
So make sure mom and dad and
not.
your main family are going to enjoy this more than anybody
Yes.
else, and they're going to have a good time.
Exactly.
The last time they're finally getting rid of you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and work the little butt up to get rid of you.
Right.
Get them out of the house.
Some parents will do anything. Just like, no, we're cutting the ribs. We don't care. Just get her out of here. We don't care.
Now, when you cater and the food, that's wherever you get it from, that doesn't come with plates, does it? So that's a different, totally different thing.
They would have whatever serving. So if it's let's say I got a taco truck. Well, this is obviously going to be a very casual wedding or reception. Going to be very casual because they're going to have those little baskets that they put, But if I want plates, that's something you can talk about with like a food truck or with a caterer. Caterers should absolutely have plates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they bring the plates.
Yeah,
and the silverware.
caterers should most of the time. But again, if they're not, that needs to be communicated.
Right.
Yeah, that needs to be communicated. And then you should get a break from that. Somebody's going to charge you more if I'm going to take all the dishes with me.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. So what about making pictures and lasting memories on all of this?
Photography. Birdie Finch.
Oh.
I hope you're listening.
We love Birdie.
Yeah.
We love Birdie. So when you're looking at a photographer, there's lots of different styles. Photographers, just like any kind of artist, there's lots of different styles. You have some that are more traditional. You have some that are more photojournalistic. You have some that they're more innovative. They're creative. Here's what you do. You ask to look at their portfolio. If you like what you see,
good idea. Yeah.
this is who they are, right?
Yeah.
They did these and they're showing you this is my best work. So you can talk to them about that. Hey, it looks like you're kind of photojournalistic. They'll say, yeah, I don't like doing too many pose things. I like to just catch things as they happen. Or somebody says, oh, I like to play with filters. They're maybe more,
soft or whatever.
creative. Yeah, I like to do, I like to put purples into the sky or,
Wow.
check that out. If you like it, let them do it. Let them, right? So don't be the person going, oh, we're going to do that. Is that going to be stupid? No.
yeah.
Let them, they're the artists. Let
Give
them
them the
have their
creative
vision.
license. Right
Exactly.
on.
Give them the creative license. You can tell I'm married to an artist, right?
Yeah.
Let the artist come out and be the artist. But this, again, is a place where you want to absolutely communicate with the vendor because, for example, here's one of the things that folks hamstring their photographer.
Okay.
After the wedding, I want a picture with my family, and he wants a picture with his family. Then we want a picture with both of our families. Then we want a picture with just the bridesmaid. We want a picture with just the groomsmen. And we want a picture with the bridesmaids and the groomsmen. Then we want some silly pictures. Then we want some happy pictures. And then we want some with this Mima and Papa. His Mima and Papa, then my Mima and Papa. Right? Okay. Think about it.
Right.
You
got it.
request 40 pictures. If they take 2 minutes each, you just took 80 minutes out of
Right.
your reception.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, your guests are all sitting there.
Right.
They can't eat. I mean, they can drink, but I'll tell you this. They
drink,
start
yeah,
drinking. This is a reason why people get overserved because they're drinking and they haven't eaten because they had to get in the car to be at the wedding at 3, right? So they haven't eaten since 1 o'clock.
Right.
Okay.
Now they're starving.
So be judicious. Be judicious. J-U-D. I don't. Okay. So
She's a singer on Dog Park.
be selective. Be selective of those pictures you want afterwards, and try not to hamstring your photographer and ask for 50 pictures because it's going to take forever.
Right.
And let them take the pictures as they come. Grab Mima. Give me one with Mima. Right? That's fine, but don't make it like because I mean it looks like it looks like a firing squad. It looks like a lineup for a firing squad, and the only thing that changes is you two, or is the same as you two, and it's just all the other criminals keep changing around you. Right. So try not to do that.
Have you seen a lot of pseudo photographers that go with their cell phones and just fire away?
You know, this is fairly new, probably in the last 5 years
right?
or so.
Yeah.
Of the cell phone usage going up now. So there's lots of ways you can work with this. Again, communication is key. If you don't want people to take pictures during the ceremony, then say so and tell them why. Because here's the thing, if you tell them don't, and you don't say why, then what's going to happen is you're going to have somebody go, well, why? It's okay. Just like Jack, why? It's no big deal. And there's Aunt Betty hanging in the middle of the aisle when your photographer is at the back trying to get this beautiful picture of you and your dad.
I see. Well, I'm not
And
going to
now
step out
there's
the
Aunt
aisle.
Betty. And you know Aunt Betty's picture is not going to be as good as
Right.
the
I'm
photographer.
tall. I can look over
Yeah.
heads. And
So there's lots of things you can do. You can ask your guests not to take pictures just during the ceremony, or just. I saw one the other day. I saw a video where they said, take all the pictures you want as the bride is coming in, but then please put away your phones.
Yeah, smart idea.
You know, so then now you don't have a sea of phones while the photographer's trying to get. I always tell the photographers, now there's sometimes restrictions from the church or the venue for the ceremony might say you can't take pictures from here, whatever, or up at the altar. You might have ministers, priests, officiants, rabbis who also say the same things.
Yeah.
I would always tell the photographers, look, you guys are stealthy. You know your job. You just do what you do. And I'm telling you, hundreds of weddings. And I only had one that literally shimmied on his belly up the aisle from the back.
Jeez, that was
Dude, one of those,
me.
he looked like he's going under the barbed wire, you know, going up. And I'm thinking, what shot are you even getting from there, dude? But that's it. Otherwise, they're good at this. They wear black. They know what they're doing. They know they're trying to.
He was
Wait,
doing.
that was the photographer who did that, not like a guest?
No, that was an actual professional photographer. After I said, you guys are stealthy. You're not
you
going to do
guys
something
do
like that.
I wish.
So cell phones, you can do lots of different things. I mean, I've seen people, put your phone away, but then I've also seen the QR code. Hey, take pictures, take as many pictures you want, and then you download it to this QR code. I will say this.
That is funny.
Just make sure the QR code works before I did a wedding and the QR code didn't work. And people are like, what? I wanted to do this, but I couldn't. I wanted to, and I couldn't do it.
All right, we need to stop right here because we are at mid-break already. We are having so much fun here talking with Veronica in the studio here. You're tuned into KCIW 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon. We wish to continue to thank major supporters of community radio. I want to take the time to announce these important sponsors. What do we got? Yes, I already got that. Okay. Advanced Airlines, flying in and out of nearby Crescent City to Oakland and L.A. 7 days a week. Yahoo!
Yes.
Marie and Brett Curtis, our next door neighbors at Remax Coast and Country Realty.
Hello.
Dr. John Kirk's Porta Pints Craft Brewery.
Hey, Dr. Kirk.
Yeah, now with 2 locations in Crescent City. Chetco Medical and Aesthetic Center in Brookings. Michelle Bupert with our own very vibrant local Curry County Chamber of Commerce. Hello, Michelle. Jim Doc Bellardi, everybody knows
Hey,
Doc.
Doc.
Hey, Doc, and his Crescent Land Title and Escrow Company in old downtown Crescent City. He has a bear in his front window.
Not live.
Yeah, well, not live. No. Dan and Phyllis Schmidt. Thank you for your constant, friendly support. And then the reimagined Crescent Harbor Art Gallery in Crescent City, anchored in the harbor right next to the boats. Your husband, Steve, has some work there, as we all do. And our region's only bowling center, Tsunami Lanes on 101 in Midtown Crescent City. And finally, Dr. Gigi and yours truly, we want to thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now let's get back to...
We were at the cinematography.
Photographer, yeah. The only thing I want to throw in there, do you guys remember those disposable cameras? They used to put them, everybody used to put them on the table. So, yeah, remember? Exactly. Yeah, so I don't know if folks do that much anymore. Did they do them at your son's?
Yeah, they did it
at your son's wedding?
Yeah.
So I'm like a 3 out of 10 on this, just because most of the time, the only people who pick it up are the kids, and they're taking pictures of their shoes, and they're taking pictures of their noses and stuff. So I'm not a big,
Good point.
So it's, and I think a lot of people now are doing the phones to a QR code to get that same kind of.
Or they had a phone set up where you picked up an old phone and it said, please leave a message for the newlyweds.
Yes.
Now that was cool. I
I have seen that.
So many
I left
messages.
42 messages.
OMG.
Yes, you guys can. You can buy those on Amazon, and that's what they're for. They're wedding. It's like a wedding registry.
Yeah.
So that people can. How cool!
There's 42 messages.
Oh, how nice! That's lovely.
Most of them.
But remember, these are suggestions. Always. Remember, suggestions and recommendations. So I highly suggest that you do get a photographer, a professional photographer, because for a lot of us, it's the one time that you have a chance to take a picture of these folks.
Right. And it's a good picture, and you don't have to cut yourself out, or
It's an
too
heirloom,
dark,
it's a well done, and it's an heirloom with, again, Meemaw, Pawpaw, Aunt Julia, the whole family.
Right. Now, are there movies still taken? Do you still do the movies?
People still do videos, and so you can get a videographer. It's the same thing as hiring a photographer. Make sure that you're checking their style, check their method. And you know what? I'm going to say this about photographers as well as videographers. If that person annoys you in your initial meeting, if you're like, they're too whatever, do not hire them, because this person's going to be in your face all day, and they're just going to annoy the crap out of you as you go along.
Wait a minute. Photographer or videographer are two different...
Usually...
talking and walking pictures.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Photography is still videography. We're referring to more like movies. Sometimes photographers offer both, but sometimes you have to go to a completely different entity. So just if you're an introvert alert, if you're an introvert, not you, Jacques, put your hand down. If you're an introvert, you may want to rethink the videography, because photography may be just about as much as you can stand. You know what I mean? Having a whole nother person who's filming more stuff is like, ugh. So just kind of keep that in mind if you know that about yourself. ask the videographer what they're going to film and when they'll start, when they finish, what they're going to
What kind
include.
of file does it come out? Is it like a something on the computer then? Can you download it? How do you get it? You don't get those.
Actual
VHS.
videos? No,
VHS, but a long time ago. My German doctor, she did. Yeah,
showing
I
our
watched
age,
this. I went to the rental store when
Is it the DVD? Is it the CD?
even
No.
DVDs are dead.
Yeah,
right?
usually you get files, and then you own those files and you have them in perpetuity, which is nice. Before you get a video and those things died, and so it's a nice way to. Yeah, I do have a funny story.
Yeah,
A
sure.
colleague,
We like
the
funny.
colleague had had the professional, got married and had the professional video as well as photos taken, and she went to watch the video, and her husband had recorded a TV show. Oh no! And she's just like, "What did you do?" And he looked at her and said, "What? I thought you watched it."
Wow.
Oh, that's boy versus
boy,
girl.
howdy. I'm telling you, sometimes to the moon, Alice, to the moon. So the next three vendors that I want to talk about, I kind of want to talk about them in a little separate area because a lot of folks consider that it's something that they can DIY. And that's fine. I know that people are looking for their, trying to save in their budget, trying to work within their budget. So let me just kind of help you guys along with how you can do this and how you can save
I bet
money.
you I know what's that. What the first one's going to be at something close to my heart: flower arrangements, right?
Okay, first off, let me just remind everybody, do not pay attention to the movies and their flowers because they are spending $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 on flowers. So you're not going to make it look like that. So
Jeez.
bring the expectation way down.
Dandelions for anybody.
Dandelions and thistles. Yeah, I like that thistle.
And some fescue grass.
yeah.
So I will tell you, I will fess on myself that if there was one service that I would have redone from my first wedding, it would be the flowers because it makes the photos look better. It makes everything, it elevates the entire experience. So this is one of those things where unless you have somebody in the family who used to be a florist, that level, please just leave it to the professionals because otherwise it's just not going to look that great and it's going to, it's just not going to look that great. So I would say in this order, the bride and bridesmaids bouquets, that's where you should drop the lion's share of your money. Then the guys' boutonnieres. You can stop there and, maybe a little, the boutonnieres for the moms and stuff. But you can pretty much stop there. If you want to go to Dollar General to get the place settings for the center,
like fake flower?
if you want to do pampas grass, or you want to do these tall things with marbles or what,
Right.
you can get.
It doesn't have to be flowers,
Correct.
right?
You can get really creative, but there's just something about how beautiful those flowers look when you really drop that's where you spend your budget. You can kind of skirt away a little bit from maybe the place settings or the centers. It's kind of like if you threw a really swanky Christmas party and you don't have a Christmas tree, right? It's just kind of, whoa, what's this? I will tell you though that wood flowers are they're an affordable option. They are beautiful. It's really hard to tell that they are wood
That's
flowers.
kind of trendy thing. Although they're made in
never
China and the
seen that.
tariffs
Have you?
went way up.
Yes, and
they've
they're
gone
beautiful.
$10,000 thing now.
Oh, well, that's cheaper than...
Well,
Plus, Jackie here, you were the singing florist. You
I
could
was the
put
singing
some,
florist, where I used to braid everybody's garden for my flowers.
right, and put
Yeah.
it together. And look at
And I had wooden flowers.
Yeah.
I got them at like a garage sale or something, and I had a pile of them. They were great.
yeah,
I've
wooden
never seen
flowers
them.
they're beautiful, and the cool thing is you can save them. They
last
you don't have
forever.
to. They'll last forever.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about them getting faded and
Yep.
like your love. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
kidding,
no.
y'all. I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding.
We had a whole bunch of Ray Simon got into them and ate them.
wood flower.
Okay, so Music.
That's the next biggest one.
Now, you would think I'm the lead singer for Dog Park Monday, so you would guess that I would say,
What are you playing next?
go this Friday at Enoteca, 8 to 10.
Yeah, okay, we can't wait for that. And make sure it starts at 8.
Yes.
We'll show
You would think I would vote for the band, but sorry, I got to give wedding reception music. I got to give it to the DJs. DJs can go across eras, genres, styles. They can, if Papa wants to hear a special song that you want to play for him, he was really into disco, whatever.
Right.
You can throw that out there. Whereas a band is limited to what what they can do.
And you could request, if you have requests, the DJs can just whip it up.
Exactly. They usually don't.
Perfect pitch and everything, right?
They usually don't need a break because they can usually do bio breaks while there's a longer song on. Bio breaks. That's right. And a really good one, which that's what you want to look for when you talk to them, when you interview. You want to ask, how do you build the party atmosphere? How do you build that? And so they should have a plan. Like, well, I start with these types of songs and I move to these types of songs. They should ask you for what kind of music you like, what kind of music you don't like, because it's important. And so do your homework. I've heard brides, I can't believe he's playing this. Well, did you tell him not to? Or did you tell her not to? So make sure. And DIY.
I'm just going to make a spot list. I'm just going to put together a playlist on Spotify.
That is not the same thing, okay? That is not the same thing. And you can do it. You can do it if that's what you want to do. But somebody's got to mind the stove. Because sometimes you thought songs were going to go over well, and they're not going over well. And the last thing you want to do is 2 or 3 more songs in that genre, whatever. You need somebody who's going to go, oh, that's not going too well. Let me flip over to these songs. Or let
now,
me start
how many, like if you're dancing, you're talking about the reception at the end when you dance. I mean, that can be 3 hours long. How many songs?
You can make a long, you can make a long Spotify playlist. You could make 10-hour. You can make a long one.
If I've always heard this from bands. If everybody's dancing, then they will play more of their dancing. They'll continue that line.
Correct. You want to play, and so that's what I'm saying. So you may be thinking ahead of time, like, well, I'll just throw in a couple Motown and then I'll throw in a couple of 80s. Well, the Motown goes crazy. You start playing the 80s and everyone walks off. What are you going to do? So if you're going to do your own playlist, I seriously put together, like if it's a 2-hour reception, 3-hour reception, 4 or 5 hours worth of music. Block them together by genre so it's easy for you. And then you could just, if people are liking it, you can just keep playing that. Then you can switch over to something. But again, see, you need a friend who this is how their brain works. This is not something where you want mom going, well, honey, I don't know. It sounded like they wanted some Chet Atkins, but I don't know what they want now.
I love it. Okay, so
what else is there?
We got a big one. That starts with a C and ends with an E.
It's
num 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 num
yum yum yum, and there's an A and a K in between. The cake, the wedding cake.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the cake. I am not a snob. Okay, cakes from I am well, not with my cakes. Pat. A cake can be from a grocery store. Cake can be from a bakery. If you like how it tastes, then that's all that matters, right? So go and do your taste test. Now, bakeries can be more inventive with flavors. They can be more inventive creative with decorations. A lot of times, a grocery store bakery is a little more hogtied as far as, we can only do these kinds of decorations or we can only do these flavors.
It always has to say happy birthday.
Right. And it has to say happy birthday. But if you like, I'm thinking of right now, Costco cakes.
Right. You can order it.
So there are some people who they love the flavor of Costco cakes. That is just like, I don't care. You could give me a $20 a slice cake. I don't care. I like the Costco better.
Wow.
So that's fine. You could always, again, if you want to get a big old cake and you want to go to a bakery because you want it to have all these special decorations and all that, wonderful. If you don't really care that much about the cake, that you just want a great flavor, great tasting cake, you could go to, say, Fred Meyer. You can get a beautiful cake, lovely cake with wonderful flavor. but it may not have all those intense decorations.
Not all those tiers.
Yeah, the tiers.
Right, all the tiers, right? So here's a way that you can also save money is you can buy the sheet cake, you can buy the sheet cake from Fred Meyer, say, and then you buy a small, like a 8-inch round from the bakery, really nice with the two little people on the top or whatever,
sense.
right?
Yeah, makes
and
sense.
that's what you cut. And they whisk that away, and you guys feed that to each other, and that's what they whisk away.
That makes sense.
And the sheet cake in the back
Gets pulled
is
out.
what gets. They don't even pull that; they just chop it up back there, and all they're doing is bringing out plates.
Yeah, you're right. In a way,
fact,
that's most
let me tell you this.
Make sure it's the same color. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Make sure. Yeah, if you get chocolate, they get chocolate. If you get vanilla, they get vanilla. Okay, so when I was in Japan, I was honored to be able to attend a wedding. And they have these wedding villages, where they just have room after room of all these, So we're sitting there and the wedding cake gets wheeled in. And this is, I'm not joking, this is a 12, 15 foot tall
No.
wedding cake, right? I mean, it is these massive, there's 6 foot dowels in between these huge, I mean, it's huge. And so they wheel this in, and there's all the, what is it? The ice, the dry ice. So it's all the fog and stuff is coming around them. And they sit there and they cut the little slice and they take the picture and they go, and off they go. They they roll it out of there. It's a cardboard cake, y'all. It's a decorated cardboard
just there for the
cake,
show.
and it's just there for the show. So I'm telling you, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. But I will say this. Another wedding, the friend of the bride offered to do the cake, a four-tier. Okay, don't 4-tier cake. And the caterer calls me over just before the wedding starts. She goes, Veronica, what am I going to do? I said, what? She goes, there's nothing in between these tiers. There's nothing. See, usually they put dowels.
Right.
They put dowels
Like
into the cake,
platforms.
and then they put a platform, and then they put the next cake, and they put dowels in that so that it all stands. No, this thing was just one big cake shoved onto. I mean, I'm like, I don't know, take one big slice, like a big old brontosaurus slice. I don't know. So that's my other thing is, you may have friends who come up and say, oh, I can do your flowers, or I can do the cake. Just remember, you get what you pay for.
Right.
Be careful, because unless your friends have done these things professionally or they've done them before, may not be, here's some other options.
Ideas.
Yeah.
The sheet cake. By the way,
Do the
at the
sheet
sheet cake, who cares at that point? It's at
Yeah.
the end of the thing. All I want to know is the bar still open? And are they pouring? Because that's where I don't care about the damn cake. So let's talk about the bar.
Let's talk about the
What
bar.
about booze
Okay.
and bar and everything else?
So it used to be, I think, pretty standard open bar at a wedding. That was pretty much you could expect. But I'm telling you that they are not nearly as typical as they used to be. I would say maybe 20, 25% more like, our open bar. And there's a reason for that. A lot of people were getting overserved. There was a lot of waste. People
DUIs after.
and exactly.
Or-
DUIs are worse, worse afterwards, because people being overserved, and then, or, people getting in fights because the whole inhibition thing is down.
Yeah.
Or people getting really sick because it's, I'll try a mojito. Yeah, okay. I'll try a martini. I've never tried. Okay.
right.
And then,
They're all
and then they're throwing up because they've, So a lot of people.
And it's expensive.
And
right?
it's real. I mean, I remember, and this was back in 1990, I think. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it was back in the 1900s. The venue, when I was looking around, the venue was going to charge $500 for the keg. $500
Whoa.
for the keg, which basically what we worked it out to is that they were charging us $5 a glass.
Yeah.
For, so they were charging us retail for that, for having that. So just know it's not required. If this is a place where you don't want people driving home drunk, you don't want people getting, having fights and things, just notify guests ahead of time. You do want to have champagne, but also you want to have non-alcoholic options as well, like maybe sparkling
Apple
cider, sparkling
Pear
grape,
juice,
that sort of thing. Some things, or even, soda, sparkling soda, but notify the guests ahead of time, and so that they'll make sure that they bring cash.
So there's oftentimes there'll be champagne for everybody, but it's a pay for bar.
Yeah,
they go to the
exactly.
bar and it's going to cost you $5 a drink.
Yeah, I think everyone's pretty cool like I said, as long as you know ahead of time. It just, a lot of people don't carry cash, or they didn't think to bring a credit card. So just as long as you tell them ahead of time.
We got 10 minutes. What are we going to get into next? What is this groom or to not groom? You tell me what you're talking about here.
So I have often heard from grooms, oh yeah, I don't have to do any of this. When we're talking about vendors, I don't have to pick the flowers. I don't have to pick the photographer. I don't have to pick the cake. I don't have to pick any of this. She said, all I got to do is get dressed and show up. And I'm just saying, gentlemen, yes, maybe that's true. Maybe she's thinking less cooks in the kitchen, and I'm going to pick whatever, and I'm going to have the mashed potatoes match the bridesmaids' dresses. Maybe that's what she wants to do, okay? And maybe it's easier if you don't have him there. But I'm just saying, and this is the analogy I used before, is that you could have an interior designer, and you say, or an interior decorator, and you say, here's the money. I like blues and browns. Knock it out. Or you could go and work with an interior decorator and say, I like blues, I like browns, I like rustic, but I don't like mechanical. I like this art piece. I like that art piece. You're going to have a beautiful home either way.
Right.
But the latter one is going to mean so much more to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when people come, they're going to go, oh, that's really cool. And you'll go, yeah, I picked that out because X, Y, Z. I did that because of, I really liked it. And so it's just one's going to mean more. So guys, step up. And ladies, stop pushing them off the step.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, that the guys say, well, she just wants a beautiful wedding, and I'm just going to go. It's whatever she wants.
Yeah,
right?
I get it. Happy wife, happy life. I get it. But you know what? Jump in, make some suggestions.
You know what I've heard? The scientists have recently discovered a food that greatly reduces the sex drive. You know what it is?
Oh, no.
Called the wedding cake. All right.
All right. Now, just to summarize what we talked about.
What you're saying, step up to it, guys.
Look, you're just going to enjoy it more. I think I think they think they're going to enjoy it less. And I'm here to tell you, I have heard so many grooms afterwards saying things like, hey, that turned out really cool. Oh, you know how we picked out that? That was really cool how that, I really like how that worked out. I really like how that looked, or, So anyway, in summary, I would say communicate fully. Make sure that you're talking, that you are clear with your vendors so that you avoid misunderstandings. And this is where you get your bridesmaids. If you don't have a coordinator like me, then this is where you
hint.
This is where you engage your bridesmaids and your groomsmen, and you get them. Help me make sure that this happens. Make sure this happens, because you're going to be busy. Don't make your family work. Not Mima, not Papa, not Mom, not Dad.
I like that. Good idea.
Siblings, that's fine. Be careful about allowing or asking loved ones to deliver services. You will get what you pay for. And, do the DIY with a grain of salt. If you're going to do it yourself, then just recognize that, it just may not look professional. And if you want something that looks professional, if you're going for real casual, toes in the sand kind of thing, then professional may not be that big a deal. But you definitely want people who are going to show up. They show up on time, even if it's casual. You still want the cake to be right. You want the cook, whoever's cooking the food to be there on time to, and
right.
so on.
So you said if they don't have somebody like you, how could people get a hold of you?
Yeah, okay. Spell your name, give us your address, give us your email, give us all the new stuff.
Okay, so I am Veronica Schlesener. You may know me from Dog Park Mondays. My last name is spelled Schlesener. Here's how I do it.
Good.
Here's how I do it. SCH, like I'm taking you to school, then it's LESENER. So it's
German. The German's names.
Yeah.
so my email is revsles. That's REVSCH, like I'm taking you to school, then it's LES at Gmail. But the easiest, the fastest way to get a hold of me, if you want to get a hold of
You're
me,
giving out a phone number?
is yes, it's our new business phone line.
Whoa.
It's for Dog Park Mondays as well as
cool.
as this business. So the number is 707-951-0632. That's 707-951-0632. And next time we're going to talk about the rehearsal, why it's important, and how do you get through it in 10 minutes or less.
Well, we are going to have remind everybody, if you know of anybody that is up for getting married on the air, live show here in the KCIW studio with the cake and the bubbly and the everything, the officiant here, Veronica. You are got to reach out to Doc and Jacques at gmail.com. Get out to us as soon as you can. Thank you so very much, Veronica.
Very
we will
cool.
see you
Thank you.
next time. Yeah, Enoteca Friday night. Yeah, 8 to 10. And then we just found out that for the Redwood Parks Conservancy Music Fest that's happening
they're closing down. Right?
June 28th, we are going to be the closing act from 5 until 7, which I love that
This
it's
is the
not
one
super
in
late.
Crescent City that's got that that unique building. They're closing it down. Is that what they're doing?
No, this is for Redwood Parks Conservancy.
Oh.
And and it's raising money. It's raising money for that.
Okay.
And it's going to be on June 28th, and I believe it's from 10 until 7. The festival is going to be the music festival is going to be from 10 to 7, and yours truly, Dog Park Mondays, is going to be closing the show from 5 to 7.
Yeah, and we have.
And where is it going to be at?
I know it's going to be down by the marina, and I think it's going to be at Port-au-Prince South. I believe that's where it's going to be.
Cool.
But
Good
you'll
place to be.
City.
keep
Also,
your eyes.
the
Yeah, Crescent
31st,
City.
the 31st is the One King Entertainment, their festival that was like 8 bands playing on Saturday, the 31st. Okay, Doc, we got just a time for a few quick.
For what?
What is Fun Time Corner? Advice to husbands. Try praising your wife now and then, even if it does startle her at first. Some men say they won't wear their wedding band because it cuts off circulation. Well, that's the point, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. You got any good quotes?
Yes. A great many people think they're thinking when they are merely rearranging their prejudices.
Oh, we're back to thinking again.
Yeah, thinking one.
Man, it's all about the consciousness.
Well, what's the difference between an outlaw and an in-law? Outlaws are wanted. I guess. Hey, before you marry a person, you should first make them use a computer with a slow internet connection just to see who they really might be.
You know, that's not a bad idea. You know,
That's
that
like-
and go on a trip.
Yeah, right.
Go on a trip and see how they handle like a late train and so
Yeah,
on.
stress,
Yeah.
right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, what's another
Think
quote?
higher, feel deeper.
Feel higher, breathe.
Think higher,
Think higher,
feel
deep.
deeper.
I like it.
I think I'm thinking a little high right now.
Yeah, what do you call it? Hippie's wife. What do you call it? Hippie's wife?
What?
Mississippi.
Mississippi. If everyone is thinking alike, then no one is thinking.
That's true. If everyone's thinking alike, who was that by? Some famous person.
Benjamin
Benjamin
Franklin.
Franklin. Hey, anybody that believes in telekinesis, please raise my hand.
Yeah, I like that one. Positive thinking will let you do everything better than negative thinking ever will.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of along the lines of don't argue for your limitations
Yeah.
because then they're yours.
I spend a lot of time, money, and effort
Right.
child-proofing my house. But the kids still get in. I don't quite get that one either. Okay. We both look at each other. We're not always got these totally.
Child proofed it, and the kids are still getting in.
Yeah. Hey, did you hear they busted the they busted the devil? They got him on possession.
Okay, well,
That's a good one.
that's
I
a
like
good one.
Ray,
And
Ray
luckily,
Simon is just shaking his head.
we are done now.
Oh, we are? Okay.
You have been listening
Thank
to
you,
the
Ron.
Doc and Jacques Radio Variety Show on KCIW 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon. We hope you have enjoyed a fantastic show with Veronica here. It was excellent.
Peace and love, everybody. Reach out to us, docandjacques@gmail.com, and pay close attention because Tony Durso follows us right now.
Love
Peace.
salute.
And then you can email us at docandjacques@gmail.com.
There we go. Thanks.
Woohoo! Thank you.
Thank you.